Good afternoon. Well, actually, mine will be afternoon. It depends on who's listening, huh? Welcome to episode number 166 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting. See, I've already messed up, Jeannine. A podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we're coming to you once again from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are highlighting another great organization today as we talk about Hearts to Home. We have Jeannine Beert with us today. Jeannine is the founder and executive director of the organization. So, Jeannine, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, as usual, we try to get right to it. And before we kind of get into talking about the organization, if you don't mind, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, anything that you'd like to share.
Myself. I haven't talked about myself for a long time. I am a realtor with the Howard Hanna Allen Tate Realtor Company.
Okay.
We just formed a partnership, and so our name changed, but I've been with them for 21 years now.
Wow.
And in real estate, I'm also a stager, so that comes to why I
help a little bit with what you're doing now. Yeah.
But I am a mom of two. My boys are 30 and 32 and married, and my husband works for Eaton Corporation, and that's what brought us to Gastonia many years ago, about 29 years ago. Eaton in Kings Mountain brought us here.
As we were talking just before we started recording that, again, that makes you officially a Gastonian.
I am now.
Gaston Countyan. Is that probably not correct grammar, is it? But
long-time resident, also a house flipper. We move every 2 years, so that makes us very unique.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have the patience for that.
I love renovating homes.
Well, good for you, because, I did some of that when I was younger. It got that out of my system, so that's not for me. So anyway, okay, I appreciate you sharing that. It's always good to get a little background about our guest. But we're here to talk about Hearts to Home. So just tell us about the organization, the mission of the organization, how you came to be, in doing this, in founding this. So that I think it's. I know just from talking a few minutes ago, I know kind of the story, but I think it's very interesting. So just share what you can about that.
I will. Thank you. The mission of the organization is to furnish homes for people coming out of homelessness. That can encompass anyone from women that were battered and abused, veterans, kids aging out of foster care, homeless off the street, people that have lost their homes. We've had a lot of furnishings for people that suffered from the hurricane. We've had people that suffered from fires. So anyone coming out of homelessness, we walk beside many organizations in Gaston County that aid these people and get them on their feet, and we're just that extra hand up at the end that really kind of provides hope and dignity and comfort and support to them as they make that journey. And we started from a food pantry that I've worked at for the last 5.5 years, Bountiful Blessing in West Gastonia. And we were working with the homeless there, my friend and we identified some people that needed assistance. So we ourselves were able to home a couple, and when we got them to the point where they were ready to have their keys, we realized they didn't have anything for these homes, so we reached out via Facebook and to friends and just asked for some donations of furnishings, and we were fortunate that one of our friends, a builder in town, gave us two houses of staging furniture that he had. He had been homing it in a warehouse for a while, and he wanted it out of there to stop paying the rent fee on it, so we were able to use that for several homes, and as we started doing more out of Bountiful Blessing, we were doing maybe one every 2 weeks, just dropping off beds when we knew people needed things, a lot of, in the beginning, a lot of appliances. Being a realtor, a lot of people leave behind appliances, and sometimes we're responsible to get rid of them when the buyer doesn't want them. So we were moving a lot of that, and we were borrowing the truck from Bountiful Blessing twice a week. We could get it after they did all their food pickup. We could get it on Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons. So I just hired some of the homeless men over in West Gastonia, and they would come and help me. And we would pick it up, and our pastor had a small little warehouse on Bessemer City Highway that he let us store things in. And that's where our beginning started. And then as the donations kept coming, which, I have to say our community is so generous. They love to support something where it's local and they know that things are going to a really good cause. So things just kept coming and kept coming. And I actually was on vacation and got sick. I'm a diver, and I couldn't dive for 2 days. I was in bed, and I kept praying to God that he would just take this all off my hands, because I already had Bountiful Blessing and I have a full-time job and career. So when I got home, I had 15 phone calls of people that wanted to donate, and I just had to figure it out. So from then on...
So God had other plans.
Yeah. From then on, Catherine's House was the first organization that we supported. A lot of my friends have been through the program or have volunteered there, so that was near and dear to our hearts at first, and we just kept putting things into their storage sheds so the women would have things that they could shop for right at Catherine's House for their new homes. And then now we're to a point where everybody that comes out of there gets a shopping experience with Hearts to Home, and we're able to set up their homes completely. And it has just grown since then.
All right. You said you went through that kind of so matter-of-factly, like it's not a big deal. That's a big deal, especially coming from one family or one person you met at their Bountiful Blessings or got connected to make all these connections with. I think before we recorded, did you say 22 organizations?
We are now serving 22 in Gaston County. Our guidelines are they need to be Gaston County organizations. Yeah. We've had a lot of Charlotte organizations recently reach out, and we just do not have the manpower at the moment to be able to help them all. So we stay within Gaston County, and all of our pickups and donations are from Gaston County
What
residents.
is this time frame from that first family through Bountiful Blessings to when was that?
That was September 2023.
Okay.
When we first started. So we were doing one every 2 to 3 weeks. We were helping a family. And it has grown to the point now that we do 3 to 5 a week. All right. So we have grown considerably.
So not quite, almost 2 years. That's pretty dramatic.
Well, in July of last year, I decided to form a 501c3. Mm-hmm. And shortly after, an anonymous donor gave me funds to buy my own truck. And when that happened, it made it a 7-day week for me. Instead of 2 days a week for pickups, 7 days a week for pickups. And because I had the time, energy, and I wanted to do it, God gave me the spirit.
I think that's actually the first time I actually went online to look into this. I think I saw your truck in Cramerton, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think my wife and I were in Cramerton, downtown, and your truck was parked maybe at the church right there or something. It was parked somewhere near there. It's
called South Fork Commons. It was the old Methodist church.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I saw it parked there. I was like, I wonder what that is. Sounds like a good podcast guest. Oh. And then I said, I know her. Yeah. When I got online and looked into it.
So last fall was really the turning point for us, where it became, we were working out of 3 storage buildings at that point, one still at Bountiful. Catherine's House actually rented a storage building in Belmont for us, and then we had one down by Lotus. And so we were spread out amongst the county, and I'd have to go back and forth to try to pick out things. And we just picked things and delivered it at that point. And then we were blessed with the basement at the old church, South Fork Commons. And in that space, we were able to kind of bring everything in and have it under one roof, but then it just kept growing from there. So our second space turned up for us about 4 to 6 months later. We were at Park Street Methodist. They had a building that used to be the Boy Scouts building on their campus, and it was scheduled to be demolished at some point in the future because they want to build a 55 and older community there. But they let us have that, and that turned into where all of our furniture went. So we have our furniture area, and then we have what we call our Target. All our small things go to Cramerton still. So now we're spread out to those 2 spots, and then I kept renting storage buildings, so we're up to 3 storage buildings in those spots. So 5 locations at the moment, but soon to be 1 location. We were very, very blessed. I put a plea out back in May when the basement started flooding again. We've had such moisture conditions down there, and that moisture isn't conducive to anything but mold.
Right.
And just trying to keep the mold off of everything, and it just got to be kind of pathetic, honestly. And I put the plea out on Facebook, and God just answered our prayer and provided us a 18,000 square foot warehouse in Bessemer City that we are slowly cleaning because it was a cabinet maker's shop and there's sawdust everywhere. We're on week 2 of cleaning, and I think we'll probably have one more week, and then we'll be able to build some walls and kind of get it to where we could move in and call that our new heart home.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's dramatic from one family to an 18,000 square foot warehouse in 2 years, right?
2 years.
So first, just well done. So
Thank you.
the next question we kind of like to ask is it's probably, it might not apply here, but I'm going to ask it maybe a little differently, is what are some of the initiatives you're doing? But you kind of just described, you basically have one primary initiative that you're dealing with. Is that a fair?
It is. Yes.
So maybe a better way to ask it, kind of, can you describe maybe the life, a week in the life of Hearts to Home? What are some of the specific things that occur? Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. So being the founder, I still hold all the hats at this point in time. So a day in the life of me in a week, it's pickups. About 5 out of the 7 days we're going to pick up some things. Some days it's a full day of pickups, and some days it's just a piece here, a piece there. And I have a gentleman that I've homed, another homeless gentleman that has worked for me for 2 years and devoted his life to helping us. And he helps me, and so him and I carry all the furniture out of people's homes and into the truck and put it into our warehousing. We usually have 3 to 4 people a week that we invite in for a shopping experience. So I do work with them for 2 hours, and we give them this beautiful shopping experience. It's like playing Santa Claus, just whatever you need, you can have. And we open up both of our locations for them. And after they get their shopping experience, we actually deliver right to their home, and we'll set up the beds. We'll put the furniture in place. I've been fortunate to have received the Glenn Foundation grant this year.
Okay.
Prior to that, most of our operations were out of my pocket, selling a house or some small private donations that had come in for support. But the Glenn Foundation grant has allowed me to hire another person. So I'm able to have a mover help us as well. Jeremy Webb with Fresh Start Movers has kindly volunteered his and his staff services to us at a much reduced rate for a nonprofit, and they come along, so I'm no longer having to carry absolutely everything. I can't afford them 24/7, but on the big moves, they're greatly appreciated, like our one yesterday. So when we, there's days that we deliver 4 to 5 dressers, 4 to 5 beds, sofas, couches, end tables, chairs, kitchen tables, chairs, the whole works. Our rule is if it doesn't fit in the truck, we're maxed out.
Gotcha.
So, but they're good packers.
Yeah.
They can fit a bunch of things, and the need's great. So we don't run out of anything. But beyond those 2 things of picking up and delivering, my days consist of unpacking and cleaning things. I do have volunteers that show up every Tuesday morning. I have a wonderful group that help me sort things and put them and display them, because it is a shopper's paradise down there. So we want to display everything so that they can see the vastness of whatever it is we have at the time. We still do clothing for Bountiful Blessings. So we always are sorting clothing and getting clothing ready for Thursday mornings too, down in that area. And then beyond that, it's just answering calls. People, I try to return every call every day, but sometimes it's within 48 hours. And people just are so excited to help us out with this. We're still trying to figure everything out, but our new location, what I'm most excited about is I think it's an opportunity to create opportunities for people to serve. So we're going to not only have what our services that we offer right now, we're going to have a lot of other opportunities for people to come in if they like to work on furniture. We have a station where we'll have tools and they can come and actually do some repair work and stuff like that. We have an area we'll be able to invite interior designers and people that stage in, and they'll help create rooms that if if the client can't decide what they want, they can just pick a room and take that whole room with them. So we just want to create more and more opportunities, because I just think my parents were huge volunteers. We started we fostered over 100 kids through my house growing up.
Oh my!
And beyond that, they just have created this legacy that I would just want to continue. I just want people to be able to have opportunities, because a lot of people want to do good, they just don't know where to go and what to do.
So it's a full-time job.
It has, yes, and grant writing and you name it.
Yeah.
I have to do it all at this moment, but I do have a good support team behind me.
Okay, something I know our listeners like to hear about, and 2 years in, can you think of an example or story, a success story, obviously without using any specific names, but something that you witnessed, or a family or a group or someone you were able to help? You're like, wow, this is the reason that I'm doing this. A specific example that comes to mind?
Stephen, it's almost a daily thing. It's funny, when I first began, I'm a parochial school raised girl, and I hope I can talk about religion on here.
Absolutely.
My faith was good, but in my adult years, I got consumed with raising kids and busyness and having a career and kind of losing some sight there. And when I first started, I wanted to name the organization Pass It On. It was a song we sang at camp as kids, and my girlfriends and I were still together, we're still best friends from 8th grade, and we went to camp, and we all wanted this organization called Pass It On. But Pass It On is used all over North Carolina, so my attorney said, you're going to have to find another name for it. But I also was a piano player growing up, so piano music and so forth is near and dear to my soul. My mom forced me to practice, but I'm glad she did, because I accompanied choirs and stuff along the way, and have a decent talent at that. But anyways, we were moving a dresser one day, and sometimes when you move things, you have to try to lighten the load a little bit. And with dressers, you can easily pull out the drawers to make it a little bit lighter. And most people totally take everything out of everything, right, when they're giving furniture away. But this particular instance, I was pulling a drawer out, and this is right in the beginning when we got into the basement. I was pulling a drawer out, and the sheet music for Pass It On fell out. It must have been caught underneath the drawer or something, but the sheet music to that song, Pass It On,
You're kidding,
fell to the floor. And that was my God moment, that I am doing what he wants me to be doing. And my mom in heaven is there supporting me as well. And that was my nod that I was doing good and I need to keep going and do whatever I can to make this work. So from then on, almost daily, we laugh because there are those moments. And most recently this Sunday, I had a assistant principal, Jenny Carper from Highland, contacted me this summer. We happened to be on a trip together, and she was telling me about one of her students, and he had lost his mom his sophomore year and lost his dad his senior year. And she's kind of taken him under her wings, but he just got his first apartment after graduating, and we were able to go in and furnish the home for him and give him his shopping experience. And this Sunday, he decided to become baptized. And that, to me, is the culmination in perfection of what we're doing. When the little acts that we do can create hope and can create that momentum for someone to keep going in life and to, keep trying. When we see that happen, it's the ultimate thank you that I could ever have, is to be able to participate and see that. I saw another lady in Food Line the other day, and she shows me her badge, and she was a victim of domestic violence, and her 2 girls were homed. And it's been about a year, and she had a badge on that she's become a peer support counselor, and she is given back, and she's successful and got a advancement in her career recently as well, and she was so happy. And she just can't thank us enough for that hand up that took the stress off of life. Just let her be a mom, let her be good at her job and go get her career focused instead of worrying about how are we going to buy this? How are we going to buy that? And where's the money going to come from, and so forth. So every day.
Yeah. So the tangible furnishings and furniture leads to so many other things, right?
It does. It spills out for the kids. It spills out into school.
Yeah.
They're sleeping better. They don't have as much stress at home. Parents going to work, they're performing better. They have time together around a table. A gentleman just joined me. He started Sleep in Heavenly Peace in town, Dave Barnhart. And he also does rice and beans every Tuesday. And he recently became my warehouse manager and probably my life manager at the moment. And he just is pouring into my organization right now, and he thinks furniture is magical. He keeps saying how magical that kitchen table is. You think about what it represents to the home.
Sure.
People gather around it, whether they're eating there, whether they're doing their homework, whether they're working on puzzles or playing a game. It's the centerpiece of the home. It can be magical for someone just to have that.
And Sleep in Heavenly Peace, I'm correct, that's the organization that's building beds,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. We partner up a lot because I won't take on the responsibility of bunk beds. It's just too much of a liability, so they do support me.
Yeah, I think that's another organization we'd love to have on. I think we've reached out to him maybe, or I don't remember if it was the right person. We probably weren't talking to the right person, but we'd love to have them on to talk about, because my Rotary Club is helping them too as well. So again, just another connection there, right? And when you can bring so many things together to, because I wouldn't think about specifics of, I don't want to build a bunk bed that someone might fall off of. That's a great point, right? I mean, that's interesting.
I met them at their first build, or not their first, but one of their builds. And I went to a bed build just to get to see what they do, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And the other gentleman, Mark Adcock, and Dave Barnhart are partners in it, and Mark was a client at the time, so he invited me to the build.
It's also a lot of things, I guess, when we're just so fortunate. Some of these things we don't think about. We take for granted.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
And so that's one thing I've, in my community involvement in the last 25 years, so that's probably the biggest impact on me personally, is the things that I had grown especially when I was younger, things I just grown to take for granted. That everybody has that, right? Everybody.
Yeah. At Christmas this past year, I wanted to adopt a family, and I asked my family, my children, their spouses, if they would allow us to have one day where we serve. And that's what I wanted for Christmas this year. So we chose a family, a mom of 3 kids, and it's the first time we all were together helping. And when my husband was carrying a piece of furniture into the house, he actually set it down and turned around and came out and was crying. And I said, I'm like, what's wrong? And he said, I can't believe people have to live like this.
Yeah.
The conditions were atrocious, with mold on walls and openings in the walls to the outdoors. And there was no appliances at all in this home, not even a stove. And that's one of the things, as a realtor, I get very upset about, that people are allowed to rent properties in Gaston County without the proper appliances. I understand personal property being refrigerators and washers and dryers, but I don't understand not having a stove to cook on.
Sure.
And how these landlords get away with the conditions. It's like they're preying on the less fortunate. And I'd love to see something done about that. If ever I'm going to get into politics, it will probably be about that and those conditions, because this place, it was habitable, but it just needed a lot of work. And I just felt bad being a flipper. It's so easy for me to say, hey, spend a few $1,000s. You could take care of all this, but you can't do that for everyone.
Right. So you probably already answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway if there's something else. I mean, in the 2 years, and maybe even go back to, involvement with Bountiful Blessings as well, if you wanted to touch on that. But with Hearts to Home, something that stands out as you're most proud of accomplishing or most proud of getting to this point, or is it just what you've already shared that you've been able to accomplish?
Well, being from the Midwest and growing up near farms, our work ethic was you just put your head down and work.
Sure. Because
there was always something you had to be doing. From a very early age, we were workers. And It does surprise me when I get together with my accountant on a monthly basis, and we have entered everything that we've done, and we're at 143 homes to date. And I'm thinking to myself, when my kids were in college, I had to move them every year, and it wasn't fun. We were the only parents that showed up. It's not fun moving, and I move every 2 years, and in between my moves, I'm always moving into an apartment, and moving's not fun. But moving is fun when you're helping somebody like this. It's
not a burden.
It's not a burden. It's a lot of work, but it's not a burden. And then the reality is that's 143 families. That,
absolutely.
That's impressive to me. You know, I don't like to pat myself on the back because there's a lot of things that go into this. So we couldn't do it without our donors. You know, that's a lot of furniture that's been donated to us and entrusted it to us, you know, to do the right thing with it. Some of our volunteers, once in a while, we get in some really nice things, and they say, why don't we sell this? Why don't we sell this? And I'm like, we're not selling anything. It's not what people have trusted us to do. They have trusted us to find the right person. So there are times now that we turn down things because it's not practical for our clientele. I've learned that granite-topped dressers are just impossible for a 53-year-old to be moving. Hide-a beds or sofa recliners. So we've gotten to be kind of picky with what we can carry, especially if we have to go up 3 flights of stairs with it. Yeah. You know, so we do turn things down nowadays, but it's just people are so generous, and we are so blessed to have the community support that we do. I just can't tell you how every time I turn around, I'm just floored by what people are willing to do, you know, especially the estates now. We're the realtors, my realtor family throughout Gaston County, they're just talking and, you know, through word of mouth, it's just all coming to us so wonderfully. I'm amazed. So hence we need the 18,000 square foot warehouse.
Yeah.
But the goal is not to accumulate anything. The goal is to get it out as fast as we get it in.
Inventory turnover, as you would say in the business world, right?
Yeah.
So 2 years in, 18,000 square foot warehouse. So that's obviously a big step. And you may not, you know, that may be where you're at the moment. Do you look ahead at all the next 2, 3, 5 years? Or is it just, okay, let's get today done? And so, you know, what does it look like down the road?
Well, the goal was to get into this one place, right?
Yeah. That was the
ultimate.
Obviously, that's a huge step.
But as we sit and talk about it, scaling it now is what we're really focusing in on. How are we going to scale this? And it's not going to forever be the Jeannine Beert show, so to speak. I want this to be a Gaston County organization. I want it to grow where we're supporting every organization that needs our support out there. I have been lucky to have mentored with both Furnish for Good and Beds for Kids in Charlotte. Wonderful organizations there as well. They've helped me at the very beginning. They've helped me create the 501c3. They've given me resources and are kind of at my beck and call if I need them. I don't want to harm our relationship and rely on them too heavily. But, you know, Beds for Kids is a multi-million-dollar organization. They don't do things the same way we do. I've chosen to keep my organization more, there's more connectivity between us and the client. We want to be there more organically for them, even as mentors. My volunteers love to take people under their wings, and so they do some follow-ups once in a while with families that have come through, and women, children, whoever it is that we've met, they'll follow up. And so we see this being a potential for growth for that part of things, mentoring as well. We hope to eventually get to a point where we're not just putting the furniture in the home. We're going to put the furniture in the home. We're going to hang the pictures. We're going to be there unpacking for them. And then we're going to follow up with them for the next year or two with hopefully some other outside family partnerings together so we can make sure that they continue to succeed and offer whatever we can at that point. So we see that happening in the future.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of exciting. I mean, it's I find in both my community involvement in our business, even family stuff, you can get caught up so much in the day-to-day stuff that all of a sudden you're like, okay, now what? And so I love that question about what's next or what now, as opposed to why me or why us. And it's refreshing to hear all this action that you're taking, right? Because that's ultimately what it takes. It takes people getting involved and actually taking action and not just talking about doing something.
Well, it seems like in the last, let's face it, Salvation Army closed our shelter in town. And since then, there's a lot of organic people out there that are willing to do something. And we're trying to get together and collaborate more on what we can do. And I'm going on the weekends to the talks with the groups that are helping propose another shelter and stuff like that as well. And I'm seeing a lot of the same faces come, but it's a networking out there that is gaining momentum. It's not just my organization gaining momentum. They're all gaining momentum right now. And I feel like there's this fire lit under a lot of people to do more in this community. And I just want to be part of that, fueling the fire. I want to be an example of, with enough hard-working people and enough love and enough willingness, we can really do something out here. So I just want to do my part.
Well, again, I appreciate you sharing that. So before we finish, we'll make sure we give you the opportunity to share about how our listeners can find more information out, where they can contact you, what your most current needs are. But is there anything that you really wanted to get across? Something I haven't asked that I should have asked before we kind of start to land this plane with a few more questions?
I don't know if there's really.
You've covered a lot. Done a good job with it.
Thank you. It's just that I'm just a person with a passion, and when you.
That's where the rubber meets the road, right there.
Yeah, when you have done something to change someone's life so greatly that you know they would never be there without your help, it changes you too. It just changes your life, and there's a need that starts in your stomach, a need to do it more. And I told you, my friend Kathy Young, the Kathy Young effect. It's something planted inside you, and working at Bountiful and making friends with homeless people, seeing that they're not all the same, and they're not all doing drugs, and they're not all scary, and
that's right.
They're just people, and there's people that have fallen on hard times for one reason or another, and maybe made some bad choices, haven't we all? We were just lucky and fortunate that we had family surrounding us, and some didn't. So, learning people's stories and, just being there as a listening ear and maybe being able to assist in one little thing in their lives, it changes their lives. So that's what I feel like. It's so easy to change lives. It's so easy for people to donate items. It's so easy for me to go pick them up and deliver them. It's easy to do, and it does change people's lives. So why wouldn't we want to do this? It's what we're here for, right? Life is short. Now, I have a life too, right? I travel like it's no one's business. I'm a diver. We're going to the Red Sea in December to dive the Red Sea. We go and go and go, but when we're here, this is our purpose. We're going to do this, and we're going to do it good, and we're going to do it as best as we can. So,
well said. So before we finish, we'd like to ask a couple of questions, because remember that this is a podcast that we're trying to share positive things happening around Gaston County. We've been fortunate to be able to share a lot of that in the last 4.5 years or so. But a question I really like to ask, Jeannine, besides Hearts to Home, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place? I have a feeling what you're going to say from our discussion already.
So this became my home by choice. When we were looking around the Charlotte area, the size of the community was exactly where I wanted to plant my family and my children, and the amount of opportunities that are here for the growth of families and children, I think, are wonderful, from the arts community to the sports, the schools, just opportunities in general. My kids have flourished in this community, and we have as well. The kindness, the generosity, the community spirit is alive and well, and it's just comforting to be around folks with similar hearts. and I see that even more so now, that every hand I get to shake when we're picking up a piece of furniture, that human's amazing, their willingness to do that. So our community is absolutely amazing. The amount of not even just how they care, their caring hearts, and allowing others to see their caring hearts and to pass it on for them and to just shower their love onto others is just amazing. So
yeah, to your point, one of the unintended consequences for me personally of doing this podcast for 4.5 years is the optimism that it's given me. Because, if you pay attention to external things, you would think, gosh, the world is ending. It's awful. But you know what? What I see here at our company and our community and my church family, interacting with people like you, I mean, there's a reason for optimism and all the good things that are happening, and we just don't hear enough about it.
I know the grassroots people out there.
Yes.
There are so many. My
so
eyes
right.
have been so wide open to. There's a
Yes.
gentleman in Stanley, David Ward, started Moving Mountain Ministries after he died in the hospital. He told God that if he survived, he would serve the community, and he has served meals to the homeless community every night for the past 1.5 years out of his own pocket. And he's got a little bit of support, but not even close to the support that we're getting. But he's there every day, feet on the ground, doing that. There's small organizations like Danielle Webb with Displaced Roses. I don't know if you've heard of her.
She was on a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Fabulous friend.
Yes.
One of my mentors as well. She's helped me tremendously, and vice versa, So these small little groups of people that are just grassroots efforts, getting going and making a difference. Like the impact is just amazing, and people don't see that. They see this cooling shelter that was a debacle. Like all we can do is gripe and complain about it, and it's like, come on, people, just stop and do something about it.
Right.
Show up with some water. Keep some water in your car if you're worried about it. Don't just talk about it. Do it.
Yeah, my experience, and it might get me in trouble. This is not necessarily the opinion of GSM or anybody related to GSM, is or Gaston's great podcast is. Yeah, the sideline complainers are typically, in my experience, not doing a whole lot.
I know,
but. Did I say that? We can edit that out if we need. I appreciate that, Jeannine, and you're right. Yeah. It is a great community, and we don't get enough credit. But also know people like you. They're just doing work, not looking for credit either. But sometimes it's okay. A little PR helps others to see what's going on, and somebody might hear this that has no idea about your organization, and they might be inspired to do something. Or we might have young people out there who are trying to figure out something that they want to support, something they want to get involved with. Because I do think one thing I like about the younger generation is they are more in tune to that than I was at that age.
Yes.
So that's why I like this last question I like to ask. There might be this 20-year-old out there who's wondering, what can I do? One person can make a difference. But thinking back, I'm sure it's just a couple of years ago, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
It's really funny you say that, because I had a 21-year-old reach out to me from the Belmont Abbey just this week.
Okay, wow.
He said he had met a 19-year-old on the streets and didn't know what to do.
Oh.
And I blame this partly on my husband, because in college, being a Minnesota girl, kind of sheltered, didn't really go outside of Minnesota, didn't see the world. But my sister lived in England. She was stationed in the military, and we were fortunate enough to go to London for a month during our break. And I was walking down the streets of London, and my husband kept stopping and giving money to everybody on the street. And when we would go to lunch, he wouldn't have any money left for lunch because he gave it all away. And when we got married, we've been high school sweethearts. When we got married, we would go on a vacation, and we'd be walking down the street, and he'd have to pick up somebody and bring them to lunch with us. So just helping that stranger out there was just something embedded. And so when I sat down and talked to this 21-year-old, and he's a minister on Belmont Abbey campus, I said, the biggest thing you can do is just sit down and listen. Just listen. Because we can say all the words in the world, but that person needs to talk to somebody, and just listen to them and see what you can do from what they tell you that their needs are. Sometimes it's just the fact that you'll sit and listen.
Yeah.
They might just be having a bad day, and they just needed a friend.
Just that recognition that they are there, and somebody,
they're human.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, I wish, looking back, that I would have done more in the beginning, that I don't think I've passed up opportunities that were presented straight in my face, but through church and so forth, I wish I would have participated more through some of those things. And my love has always been the elderly, so when I go into some of these homes of veterans and people that are in need, that are elderly and are on fixed incomes, it just breaks my heart that they're in that position that they can't even get a chair to sit in, or, just financially, it's so hard on them. The cost of living, the affordability of homes and rent nowadays is just out the roof. And I don't know how they do it. I just don't know how they make ends meet and live anymore if they, don't have something to fall back on. So I'm prepared for that part of life, but I wish I would have done something to help others prepare for that.
Well, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times on different of our episodes, but it kind of makes me think of that. What's that old saying? Is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today, right? So it's never too late to start.
Never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late to start that. I mean, I could go back and I think 30 years ago, boy, so many different things I could have done, right?
Yeah. At 53, I didn't think I would be moving couches in and out of a, house for people, but I can do it. God's given me the ability, and I probably shouldn't be, but I'm still doing it, and I'm capable. So I'm going to do it until I'm not capable.
Well, Jeannine, before we kind of close this out, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing. Obviously, our community is better off because of the work you're doing and the people that you're involved with, people you're helping. So where can listeners go to learn more, find out information? What are your current biggest needs? Is it volunteers? Is it just donations? What can you share there with our listeners?
So you can follow us on Facebook, From Hearts to Home. On Facebook, that's our biggest area where we post continuously. We try to showcase all of our clientele on there so you can see their stories. A lot of our donors like to see their items being used in people's homes. Yesterday we built this beautiful pink bed for a young 3-year-old girl that was donated. So I'm hoping whoever donated it can see her smile, because it was a beautiful picture of her on the bed, and she was just overjoyed. So we have our Facebook site. We do have a website that is still being built, but it's usable at this point now, so people can go on there to ask questions, or if they want to donate, they can go on there to donate. If there's a need, people can go on there for the needs. But I do want to press that we are a referral-based organization. So our clientele we prefer to work with are ones that don't have any other option. We've learned that we're best when we deliver it all, when we give them all. A piece here and a piece there doesn't really work for our model very well, because it's expensive to load it and drive it somewhere just for one piece of furniture. So we do trust our organizations to refer people that are to that point where they don't have any other hope. They don't have a church or family to turn to, and they need us. So you can find us there on our website.
Is that heartstohome.org, or how do you know the okay?
Yeah, I think it is.
and that's the number 2, right? It's
the number 2.
Hearts to Home. Okay.
Yeah, home singular, hearts plural. And my phone number is what I use for everything, for real estate and for Hearts to Home. I'm the one that they talk to when they call. I can text. You can reach me by texting very easily, because I'm on my phone 24/7, as a good realtor would be.
Right.
And as far as our needs go, it's really hard to say where this is going. Right now, we have good thing going.
Okay.
But we can always use help as far as, and I think people benefit the most by experiencing our moves. They get to see firsthand how our families are, how they're doing and what we do for them. And it's just an experience that a lot of people don't get that opportunity to see in their lives. So come aboard and follow us to a move and help us unload and move a family in sometime, or because that's where your heartstrings are really going to get pulled. Honestly, that's the culmination of everything right there. But we could use, we always can use donations. We're running low right now just on sofas. We don't have any TVs, so TVs would be wonderful. They come in and go out immediately. Pots and pans are another big need. But other than that, usually we have about everything.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, a lot of people have great sofas that we can't take. Like a big sectional yesterday was offered to me, but we can't take a big sectional. A sofa sleeper we can't take. It's too heavy. Reclining sofas, they're too heavy as well. So regular standard sofas, and believe it or not, our clientele don't like florals. So we try to stay away from anything floral, just solid colors and so forth. I hate to actually put criteria in, but that's the reality.
Well, you don't want it sitting in your warehouse not getting utilized. All right.
And we only take things that are in good condition. Someone dropped off something at the church the other day and didn't tell me it was coming, and it was all broken, and I just had to take it straight from the church to the dump, and it cost me money, and it cost me time to do. So please just make sure the items are something you would use yourself before you think about donating them. But other than that, anything you think a person moving into their first home needs is what we need. No curio cabinets, no large dining room tables. Just think of the space as your first space that you were in. What can fit there is really what we can use the most of.
Again, I appreciate that. And again, as I've already mentioned, well done. So this has been a great episode. I hope it's been worth your time. And again, we appreciate the work that you're doing here in our community, Jeannine. So
I appreciate the opportunity to speak about it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, you're very welcome. So we're going to close this one out today. So to our listeners out there, please continue. Thanks for listening. Please continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast. And please don't hesitate to contact us here at our email address, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please follow us on our social media platforms. Thanks again to Jeannine for being our guest today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Rachel? You know you had a new name there, Rachel? Rachel Coward from GSM Services. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.